ruled that Russia is responsible for the downing of Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 over eastern Ukraine, which killed all 298 people on board. The case was filed by the Netherlands and Australia, whose citizens made up the majority of the victims. The International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO, will now consider what form of reparation should follow. Earlier in 2022, a Dutch court convicted 3 men in absentia for their roles in the attack, 2 Russians and a Ukrainian. Moscow has refused to extradite the convicted, calling the trial politically motivated. The ICAO itself has not yet issued a public statement. British police have arrested a 21-year-old man in connection with suspected arson attacks on 2 properties linked to the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The man was taken into custody early on Tuesday on suspicion of arson with intent to endanger life. The fires, which took place in North London over the past few days, were linked to Starmer, who still owns the former family home targeted in the incident. Police have also connected the fires to a vehicle fire on May the 8th and a separate blaze at a property converted into flats. The investigation is being led by the Counter-Terrorism Command due to the Prime Minister's high profile. Police have declared all 3 fires as suspicious and inquiries are ongoing. Moving now to Africa, a group of 59 white South Africans have arrived in the United States, where they will be granted refugee status after the Trump administration expedited their applications. President Trump claimed the group was fleeing racial discrimination in South Africa. However, the South African government has rejected these claims, stating the group is not facing persecution. This move has sparked outrage, with human rights groups calling it racial bias. The US has halted refugee admissions from war zones, leading to complaints over unequal treatment. South Africa has also criticised the US, particularly over land reform and the Trump administration's policy on farmer attacks. The claims of genocide against white South African farmers have been widely disputed. Let's hear what the US Deputy Secretary of State has had to say.
The President made it clear that Afrikaners in South Africa who were the victims of unjust racial discrimination would be welcome to come to the United States, and he's now delivering on all of these folks who have just come in today have been carefully vetted pursuant to our refugee standards, and whether or not the broader refugee programs for other people around the world will be lifted is still an ongoing consideration. But again, the President has recognized the dire situation of this particular group of people, and again, they went through the process.
And moving over to North America, a number of witnesses have taken to the stand in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, who was facing allegations of racketeering and sex trafficking during his time as head of an entertainment empire. Prosecutors said in opening statements of the federal sex trafficking trial that Combs used violence and threats of reputational ruin to control women he abused for years. Meanwhile, the rapper's attorney defended his swingers lifestyle. On day 1 of the trial, the panel of 12 jurors and 6 alternates responsible for determining Combs' fate heard of the famed artist's explosive outbursts and an attempt to preserve his own reputation and power through bribery. The 55-year-old has pleaded not guilty to the charges. The trial is scheduled to continue today, where Combs' former girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, is expected to testify. Well, that is all we have time for, but we will continue to bring you more of the latest breaking news from across the world.